Mick Bainbridge is one of Australia's most high-profile veterans. An ex-commando, he served multiple tours in Afghanistan, earning respect on and off the battlefield.
I've been through a lot in Afghanistan. I've seen the best and the worst of outcomes that can happen on missions.
Bainbridge has become a prominent advocate, demanding better support for veterans.
You know, I lay awake at night thinking and wondering how I'm going to make this thing work, and I'm not going to stop till I do.
In 2019, Bainbridge and his colleague Paul James set up a law firm vowing to stand up for veterans. Both joined the board of the RSL New South Wales in 2023. Bainbridge was elected president.
I promise you I'll work hard. I'll work as hard as I can. My door will always be open for you to come and see me.
But behind the scenes, an internal fight at RSL New South Wales has been unfolding. An independent investigator has examined serious allegations regarding Mick Bainbridge and Paul James's conduct on the board. Confidential legal advice obtained by 730 alleges they breached the RSL's code of conduct and defied the organisation's own charter and conflict of interest rules.
Unprecedented. Never come across anything like this in my professional life.
This is dysfunction that's been brewing for a long time coming.
The Returned and Services League is one of Australia's largest and oldest charities, commemorating the fallen and supporting veterans and their families.
We're on the cusp of global conflict that's unprecedented, and so there will be a massive, massive need for ex-service organisations to step up on the veteran welfare front, not just the commemorative front.
Its largest state branch, New South Wales, has had a turbulent decade.
There was frauds identified, misuse of charitable funds, cover-ups of the frauds at the highest levels.
In 2017, the CEO Glenn Kolomeitz blew the whistle on embezzlement and rorting in the organisation by former officials. The fallout sparked criminal investigations and an independent inquiry.
One of the recommendations was to bring in independent directors. It was when we could see the governance being fixed, getting back on mission, proper use of charitable funds, and I have to credit Sophie with driving that reform.
Sophie Ray is a commercial lawyer and professional board director. She was one of the first independent directors appointed to the RSL board in 2019 and later became chair. She says the election of Mick Bainbridge, the league's youngest ever president, was seen as progress.
I think many of the members saw it as proof that the things we were trying to do were working, that we were managing to attract new members.
Mick Bainbridge and fellow board member Paul James were well known for their legal firm Operational Legal Australia, or OLA, which has a large veteran clientele. Lawyer Glenn Kolomeitz remembers when they set up the firm.
These guys, they were giving it a crack, and good on them. So I came in to sort of help them where I could, bits and pieces, just to sort of help them get this firm on track.
Kolomeitz is also an advisor to Tasmanian Senator Jackie Lambie. 2 years after OLA's launch, Lambie's office began hearing concerning allegations about the firm's conduct.
We got an avalanche of complaints. It got to the point where action had to be taken. There had to be some way to stop this, to protect not just those veterans, but future veteran clients. We're talking about a vulnerable cohort here, and they needed protection. This young woman veteran here was billed $13,000, even though her claims, so these were Veterans Affairs claims, they weren't submitted.
Billed $13,000 for work that was never done.
That was never done, yeah.
730 has seen copies of 12 complaints to the Office of the Legal Services Commissioner, alleging unprofessional practices from OLA including duplicated charges, inflated billing and threats of legal action.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Do you know if there's any formal complaints have been lodged against your organisation, its directors or staff with the OLSC or other regulators over the past few years?
Historically, there have been, Senator Lambie.
Last Friday, at a parliamentary inquiry into military advocacy, Jackie Lambie confronted them about those complaints.
It wasn't just a couple of people, that's why we've got 3 big folders.
The pair confirmed in Parliament the 12 complaints against the firm and denied any wrongdoing.
We obviously welcome any investigation and we categorically deny that. The OLSC has not done anything in relation to our practice certificate. The Law Society has no concerns about our practice certificate.
Separate from the allegations of overcharging in early 2024, some RSL board members were becoming concerned by what they viewed as a conflict of interest between Bainbridge and James's legal business and their position as board members.
I think the level of conflict of interest that I witnessed when I was on the board is extremely serious. I'd say unprecedented. The fact that it occurred once is bad enough, but to have repeated and many instances of conflicts of interest and refusal to deal with them is something I've never come across before.
Sophie Ray became so alarmed by Bainbridge and James's conduct that she lodged a complaint to the CEO. She's speaking publicly for the first time.
Absolutely last resort. This is extremely difficult, but it is too important. I do not want to see RSL New South Wales collapse.
During her time as chair, Sophie Ray learned a former volunteer of RSL Lifecare, a sister charity of RSL New South Wales, was suing the organisation. The law firm representing the Lifecare volunteer was OLA, run by Mick Bainbridge and Paul James.
We had been making some really serious decisions about our relationship with RSL Lifecare, our relationship with the board, and there is absolutely no way they should have been part of those discussions.
And were they part of those discussions?
Yes, because at the time we didn't know that they were acting for RSL Lifecare. They're essentially getting confidential information about our approach to this matter while they're advising the other side.
During their appearance before a parliamentary committee last Friday, Paul James denied the conflict of interest allegations, saying there is a system in place at their law firm to manage that.
We have information barriers within our organisation, which is approved by the Law Society. Law Society has a very good guide on how to deal with that.
In the end, Sophie Ray says her position as chair became untenable and she resigned last year. An external investigator reviewed her complaint against Bainbridge and James. What was the outcome of your complaint?
I don't know.
730 has obtained a copy of the investigation's findings and separate legal advice. The probe substantiated Sophie Ray's allegation that Bainbridge and James failed to properly disclose and manage conflicts of interest regarding their law firm, OLA. Subsequent legal advice provided to the New South Wales RSL acting CEO advised that the RSL may have a basis to take disciplinary action against Bainbridge and James, including removal from the board as a result of the investigation's findings on their conflict of interest. The investigation also suggested the pair may have breached their professional obligations as lawyers.
Gosh, I mean, this is the first time I've seen any of this. I'm not surprised because this wasn't the sort of complaint where it's my word against theirs. This was a complaint about issues which had taken place over a year involving many other people.
The RSL New South Wales told 730 in a statement that it is now reviewing its conflict of interest management practices and engaging a work health and safety expert. Mick Bainbridge and Paul James pulled out of a scheduled sit-down interview with 730 to discuss the allegations. The RSL New South Wales executive will vote on whether to dismiss them from the board in coming days. Mick Bainbridge says he's confident he has the support of members.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old.
Meanwhile, 7:30 has learned of a proposal to restructure the finances of RSL New South Wales, shared with the board but kept secret from members. Across New South Wales, there are over 300 RSL sub-branches. While some are struggling to stay afloat, others, including North Bondi, hold over 70% of New South Wales RSL's property assets, worth tens of millions of dollars. The proposal could see control of those assets taken away from the sub-branches.
The block of land that it's built on was bought by veterans in 1944 who had returned from the siege of Tobruk. And the buildings that have been on it have served continuously since 1944 as a welfare centre for veterans and their families.
And what does it mean to you, this building, I mean, to the sub-branch?
Oh, it's quite significant. It integrates the veteran community within the civilian community, and it provides a space where the civilian community can support veterans.
For a few years, rumours have been swirling amongst members that the state board wants to seize control of sub-branch assets.
It's quite clear that there isn't transparency.
This is seen as an existential issue for RSL. Local sub-branches are the heart of local veteran communities. They understand what their local veteran community needs.
Now, if you take the sub-branch's ability away to actually control things, utilise their finances in the best way possible, I don't know how that's going to work, and I can't see it.
Sophie Ray says Mick Bainbridge had shared a similar idea with her about centralising assets at the start of his presidency.
I organised for coffee with Mick, and during that conversation, Mick said, I want to take all the assets out of the sub-branches and I want to spend them. And I just about fell off my chair. I have mates committing suicide, and I want to get those assets out of the sub-branches and spend them on helping my mates.
Mick Bainbridge did not respond to 7:30's questions about this meeting. At last year's annual Congress, one member confronted Bainbridge about the rumoured plan and if he'd approached the state government about it.
Look, I've never said that I'm going to take assets. I keep saying it again. I'm going to say it again just to be tried. I'm not looking to take assets. So to be clear, you're hearing it from me, not DVA, who don't run the RSL. We're not trying to take your assets.
Has anyone here seen a concrete plan by anyone on the board to centralise assets?
No, we've heard rumours.
I've got in front of me here a proposal for a draft legislation to do just that. A plan to seize control of the sub-branch's assets was submitted to the board in May by Paul James, a 15-page confidential proposal that includes a draft bill, explanatory memorandum and a second reading for the bill laying out the takeover plan.
This is quite thought out to the point where it's been drafted and the media release has been drafted and all the sort of accessory pieces are there. I just think it's bold.
This legislative reform, James wrote, will allow for a takeover of sub-branches' assets without the need for consent.
I am shocked to see this. As a member of the District President's Council, we have not been consulted on this, and there are 23 of us who lead districts in the state, and we have never seen any of this.
We've got generations of future veterans that are going to be impacted by the collapse of the sub-branch networks.
Why is the member of the state RSL board drafting proposed legislation for the government? It is not his role. This smacks of an internal approach to getting legislation up.
James also wrote an email to board members saying there's strong support for takeover from various MPs, and that a state government inquiry would view these initiatives and reforms in a positive light.
I'm thinking of the 30,000 plus members of RSL sub-branches in this state who are being duped. I'm angry, and I'm not on my own. I'm angry. This stuff is just wrong.
Paul James did not respond to 730's questions about the draft legislation. RSL New South Wales told 730 in a statement that late last year it commissioned a review into its financial operating model showing there's need for reform, but it does not endorse James's proposal to centralise sub-branches' assets without consultation.
When we're getting emails of infighting every other week, what does that say about the leadership of this organisation? Why would we trust you with our assets? Why would we trust you with our people?